So I was at Sam's Club the other day and just kind of wandering around, and I saw these guys. 35 feet of LED solar string lights. Okay, I figured how bad could that be? So I got them, and now I'm going to show you how to put them up. Now this isn't exactly fair because I have opened them previously. For a very specific reason, you have to let the solar panel battery charger charge for 3 days. And one of the things I've found with these solar panel powered lights is that you really do need to let them charge like the manufacturer suggests. So that's what I had to do. So I had to open the box to get in there to get the solar panel. The plan that I have is to put them along the eave here of my house, all the way along here. Now my house is 33 feet long roughly, so I thought maybe I could put them all the way along there. Well, hi Gorilla Cart, we built you today. Alright, well let's take a look and see what we've got going on over here. So the box is open now, and here is the solar panel and battery, and I have, as mentioned previously, opened this up before, and it's charged for, well, this will be mostly 4 days now. So hopefully it's going to work like it's supposed to. So let's take a look and see what we've got going on here. We got all kinds of stuff in here. Got those guys, and we got these are the lights themselves, looks like. Destructions, okay. And these, I'm gonna guess, are the actual bulbs. So we're gonna take this cardboard box and we're gonna put it over here for now, but we are gonna recycle it at the end of this. Okay, well, what's the next step? Let's do it. Okay, here's our light bulbs, solar panel, instructions, lights, there's some mounting stuff under there. Okay, so we're going to take a look at all this stuff and see what we've got. Alright, and you always want to keep the box. There's a chance it's not going to work, so you want to keep the box just in case you have to take it back. Alright, well, what's the next step? Let's do it. Alright, so here's the stuff we're supposed to have, and we'll kind of look at that in a little bit. I think the important thing here is that we need to know that before starting any installation, test the bulbs for illumination. So connect the solar power panel to the connector on the string lights. Turn the solar panel over so the glass solar collector and sensor receiver are facing down on a flat surface. It is best to use a cloth for this to prevent scratching the solar glass or a small receiver on the bottom of the solar panel. No light should be detected on the solar glass or sensor receiver. In other words, what they're saying is that you need it to be dark so that it'll work. Well, weird. Solar lights for darkness. We need it to be dark. Got it. What's the next step? Let's do it. Okay. Well, here is our string of lights without the light bulbs in, because we're going to test them. So we've got to take this guy right here and hook it into here like that. Okay, we'll show you that in just a second. Just want to be clear, don't let that plastic bag get around kids. They will suffocate on it apparently. I don't like to let them out in the world anyway, because birds and critters can get in there and it ain't good for them. So I got to admit, untangling this thing, this whole series of lights, gave me a 80s PTSD Christmas lights untangling thing. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and put this together. What's our next step? Well, let's do it. Now, as we can see from this guy goes in here. So see that pin down there? That fits in that bottom slot. So don't force it in there, but make sure you get it nice and tight. Okay, here's our light bulbs. And here's our first receptacle. Now, if it were me, I would choose one of these corners and start across and down. Because that way, you know which ones you got and you know which ones you haven't. I know it seems silly, but I've done this before and ended up having a couple lights that weren't working, and I think it was because I didn't actually test them. So just come up with a method for your madness. All right, what's the next step? Let's do it. Now, I did this kind of when it was shaded pretty heavily over here. That light is working. I took the sensor and jammed it up against my jeans. Now you can see that it works. Now these guys are waterproof and weatherproof, so when you put this in here, you have to be a little bit careful, because this little sleeve goes over the top of the lights to protect them from the water and the weather. So you got to push down on them a little harder than you want to, but be careful. But they will go in there. All right, what's our next step? Let's do it. Okay, so all of these guys have been tested, and all of these guys have been tested. You'll notice that the orientation of the light bulbs is a little different. That's because my fat fingers don't fit around the bulbs, so I put them upside down so that I can get to them easier. All right, so now we got to figure out where we're going to want these guys and how we're going to mount them. So what's our next step? Let's do it. Okay, so I found this in my basement, and I've got these little deals. Now these hangers, as you can see, don't quite fit, so I'm going to have to modify them a little bit. What I'm going to do, as we can see over here, I'm going to put them up here on this part. Excuse the air conditioner, please. I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to run them all the way along there. First thing I'm going to do, of course, is get a drill and drill a hole, so I've got a place for those screws to start. Well, that's the next step, so let's do it. So I'm going to need to make the cable here big enough for one of those guys to hook onto. This is a dead end. In other words, it's the end of the string. So I'm going to put the solar charger on this end. The other one's going to go on that end. So I got to figure out how to get that big enough to hook up one of those. So I'm going to use that. Let's take a look and see how it works. What's the next step? Let's do it. And there we go. Build it up a little bit with that black tape, that electrical tape. And there we go. Doesn't look too bad. All right. What's the next step? Let's do it. Okay. So everything's all put together now. Now it's not the way I want it to be yet. But as you can see, we've got lights now hung all the way along here. One thing to realize is that I didn't know there's actually a little hook thing on the end of those. So I could have screwed that directly to the wall, or to the soffit there. Not quite dark enough yet, but let's see if we can get them to light up. And that's what we're going to have when it gets dark. All right. Well, have yourself a fantastic rest of your night. Figure out what's next, and then do it. Have a good one.